How you doing, guys? Welcome back. It's LSP. It's currently the 17th of June 2022. So we're going to be doing some comparative analysis today on Bitcoin and Binance. I'll quickly jump over to Ethereum a little later, but my main focus is on these two. Ethereum, for me, the only thing I'm really paying attention to on Ethereum is effectively the response if we get a rally. Yeah, so if Bitcoin drops into 20 and sub 20, somewhere around here, and starts to rally, then I want to see how Ethereum responds to that rally. This will give me a much clearer understanding of how weak Ethereum actually is, compared to the general market. But before I get into the analysis, please smash that like button. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. And somebody asked me in a live recently, what they can do to kind of help promote the channel. Just share the videos, guys. For me, just knowing that my content is out there and, helping people is enough. But being able to, I guess, reach a wider audience would be pretty cool. So, just share the videos as much as you can, and continue to like them, like the videos, assuming you like the content. So let's get into the analysis itself. We'll start with the weekend view. We need to understand, obviously, that predominantly over the weekend is where we generally tend to get most of the volatility. It doesn't mean it's aggressive. It doesn't mean that we get loads of movement. But what we found during these kind of boring sideways consolidations, that throughout the week, Monday through Friday, it's kind of boring, not really much happening unless there's some major news. And then generally over the weekend is where things kind of start to pick up a little bit. We get it. It doesn't necessarily mean there's more volume, because less volume means more, more volatility sometimes. But generally over the weekend, there's, where we get that kind of little bit of movement. So I'm thinking for this weekend, we're probably, at least this is my thinking, we're probably going to end up somewhere down, or at least when we kind of get that sort of sub 20,000, if it happens, it's probably going to happen over the weekend, is effectively what I'm saying. So bear that in mind, have that in mind, obviously. It would be nice if it happens pretty aggressively, because ideally what we want to see is a pretty aggressive drop into this level and then a nice snapback and move away from that level. So if we just drop down to the hourly chart and zoom out a little bit, and I say this with caution because I'm not a technical analyst. I don't do technical analysis. I read price. But technically, the way that this is forming, from a sort of pattern or statistical pattern point of view, it's forming in a way where generally you tend to get a snap down and then a snap back. Yeah, so a quick drop into this level and then a snapback. I can't confirm that in terms of the flows on the lower time frames, but it does look like that is the case, on the weekly, because we've had pretty decent prolonged move, over the last sort of 2-3 weeks. So it is likely that that's what's going to happen. And it starts here effectively. We had that kind of run up, reversal, run up again, reversal, drop, and then acceleration to the downside. And then we've kind of paused a little bit. So it is looking like that is the case, that's what's going to happen. Bear that in mind. The other thing I want to bring your attention to is in terms of comparative analysis, when you look at these two, you can see, say, with these lows here progressively going higher, sort of last year in 2021, we had this relative strength on Binance as it was going up. Whereas with Bitcoin, we kind of flattened out before we had that impulse to the upside. We have other small nuances. I won't go into too much. Sorry, I have to keep some of this stuff to myself. But we had this kind of flatness before the sort of impulse to the upside. But the general structure of both, like forgetting this move here, from this section upwards and down, this section upwards and down is predominantly the same, except for this last section just here. Right. And this is the most important thing that we need to be paying attention to, because we've been switching between on Binance this kind of relative strength, relative weakness, relative strength, relative weakness. And it's caused this kind of mess over here where we've had this really aggressive move to the downside and then an explosive move to the upside. Okay, that pretty much retraced almost 2/3 of the entire week. Yeah, on that week just here. So that was showing a lot of upward pressure, right? Binance was being defended pretty heavily, and Bitcoin was being allowed to effectively slow down and then kind of get that ramp up to fall into the levels that we're at now. These are important nuances because they tell us what big institutions are thinking and what smart money is thinking, and when smart money is going to start to jump back into the market. That's what we're looking for, right? So for now, Binance has been kind of pounding away at these levels down here. One thing we need to be aware of is when price spends time at a certain level. So we'll use this level down here as the kind of parameter. We've hit it once, we've hit it twice. We just kind of dipped through it a little bit there, but we're forming this kind of what seems to be very strong support down here. One of two situations generally tends to occur when this happens. Either price is pounding away, getting through the liquidity until it ultimately gets through, weakens it, and then off it goes, and we get a run to the downside. That's the worst case scenario, because if that happens, it means there's nothing left. Yeah. So just imagine all of those orders have been finished, price resets, and then it starts to run again to go and pick up buy side or sell side liquidity. That could literally just rip straight through these levels, and start to eat into a lot of this imbalance over here. Or the second scenario is that the support is very, very strong and price stays there until eventually, the broader market, or in this case, Bitcoin, starts to run higher, and Binance can effectively, off its own strength, start to run higher as well. The other thing that I'll quickly say as well, which is important, this is something that not a lot of analysts, technical analysts, people who kind of study this stuff pay attention to. And this is really, really important. Bitcoin is the benchmark for the cryptocurrency market. So we look to Bitcoin for general strength or weakness, and then we kind of pair that with everything else to get a feel for what the whole market's going to do, right? The whole cryptocurrency market. But we have to be aware that there is an overall benchmark that moves Bitcoin as well, and that is the broader market. There's a difference between a general market and a broader market. The broader market sentiment can affect Bitcoin just like it can affect indices, US equities, UK equities, European equities, Forex markets, and so on. Bear this in mind, because what happens in the broader market will ultimately decide what's happening in the pockets, of financial instruments that we look at, right? We have to be mindful of this. So the broader market at the moment is a little bit weak. We know this. We've seen this predominantly due to inflation, predominantly due to some of the things that they're trying to do to slow down inflation and so on. But in the end, I think we're kind of headed for this boring phase followed by this pretty aggressive drop to the downside. I can't confirm this just yet, but I'm going to be doing a video solely on Bitcoin, going through the kind of narrative, how that looks. We'll use a kind of fresh chart to do that with. And go through the entire process so we can get a feel effectively for why this level down here. And you'll see that I've kind of made a note of this on the chart already, kind of in preparation for that. But why this scenario and not maybe a run higher, and so on. So we're going to kind of work on this. We're going to see whether or not this is even viable. Does it make sense? Is this what price is showing? Obviously through order flow, pickups of buy side and sell side liquidity and dealing off. Where is that liquidity being dealt off? Where is the key liquidity pool that is responsible, for the move up? And where is the key liquidity pool that is responsible for this move down, the equilibrium points, and all of this good stuff? So we'll get into that, in a sort of future video. For now, going into this weekend, be mindful that we may see that sort of final drop into 20k and sub 20k. And then hopefully get a little bit of a response. That kind of slows the market down for the next 2, 3, possibly 4 weeks, which would be ideal. Kind of give people a breather, let everybody recoup. But watch for the manipulation. Very, very important, guys. The next 2 months are going to be absolutely key in terms of manipulation and being able to see how the manipulation of price in the broader market and general markets is used to trap traders long or short, right? Because ultimately this is always and will always be about transferring your money into the pockets of others. And we'll just use others for now. So with all of that said, I'm going to leave it at that. Just have a very quick look at this chart here, just to give us an idea and a kind of so we can remember, we have this level down here at sort of 735 to 750 on Ethereum. is showing a lot of relative weakness and weakness in general. I do feel that we are going to see sort of sub 1,000. We're currently sitting at $1,093 per Ethereum, but it is possible that we get sort of below that over this weekend. Again, be mindful of this. But as with all things, everything that I've said, of course, can be subject to change, but this is what the charts are saying at the moment. This is what price delivery is saying at the moment. And with all of that said, I hope everyone's having an absolutely fantastic day or evening wherever you are in the world. And I look forward to speaking to you in a future update. All the best, guys. Take care. Ciao for now.